To start this video off with an introductory story. So there's a man gambling he's in a casino. He's a multimillionaire. And so he's got the whole casino floor, all the staff, they're all fawning over him. Every single hand, everything that he does, he puts down his drink. The second that he puts down a drink, there's a new drink in his hand because it's just, he takes a sip from it, it's a new one. And so all of this is going on. He's having a good time. He's enjoying himself in the casino. And then all of a sudden he plays his hand, and then everyone, he notices, he looks up, everyone's just gone, right? Like everyone around him is gone. He's like, what the heck is going on? He looks, and everyone is flooding towards another man. Like this guy just walks into the casino. He doesn't know who this guy is, right? And so he walks up to the guy, and like, he's kind of mad, right? Because he's like, all right, I'm used to all the attention, and then who's this guy, right? And then so he sees like all the staff. He cuts through all the staff, and he goes to the guy, and he like pokes him in the chest. And, like, hey guy, like I'm worth $300 million. Like who are you? And then the guy he like stares at him. He's like, pulls out a quarter, and he's like, okay, I'll flip you for it. And then so moral of the story being that there's always going to be a bigger fish in the pond, no matter what. And I take that lesson to heart, and I've learned that lesson the hard way. And I've learned the moral of this story over and over again. And when it comes to side hustles and if you can succeed, so there's two different questions, right? Question number one is, is it mathematically possible to conceivable to succeed at something? Is there a person that is going to exist in the world who's going to be the casino guy at this, whatever it is, right? Yes. And most things, the answer is yes. Like no matter what it is, the answer is yes. Like there's going to be one person, right? Like it's even if it's a pyramid scheme, there's going to be one person at the top of the pyramid that has that success, right? But diving deeper into it, the question then becomes, is it feasible to do that? And then that's the big thing, and that's the big trade-off within this that I don't think, people don't understand, and they don't look into that aspect, and they don't think about that aspect at all, right? So first of all, why are you getting into something? And then what is your purpose for getting into it? And the reason why you're getting into a side hustle should be that you are trying to get your production to work for you. So, meaning that the bottom, the way that you get ahead within anything is that you get out of that worker mindset and that worker mentality, right? And that worker mentality is that I do something and then I produce an output as a direct result of my output and my input. My input equals output, right? And my direct input, meaning my physical, my labor. And so the change within that equation is that you're still putting something in, right? And that's what people you don't eliminate the input. You just change the input. The input is no longer labor. The input is, generally speaking, money, right? You fuel a business. It takes money to make money. And then with a lot of these side hustles that that a lot of these influencers are offering, the big appeal of it is that you don't have to put in the money, right? But then so just mathematically speaking, no matter what, you can't take an input out of this equation. It's a mathematical equation. I break it down, right? We're talking widgets and producing widgets, no matter what it is. If it's Adobe stock photos, KDP, drop shipping, print on demand, these are widgets, right? And then so you're either putting in money to produce that widget, or you're putting in time to produce that widget. And then so in a lot of these instances, in these low bottom of the barrel side hustles, you're putting in time. And then so the equation then becomes is the time trade-off worth it? And then the answer to me is no, a flat out no. And any of these side hustles, it is not worth the direct time trade-off. If you're only going into it with to make money from it, like as a passive income source with nothing else attached to it whatsoever. The time trade-off on any of these that I've tested is abysmal, and I've tested a lot of them, like every single one of them, right? And then so going back, the fact that you can make money with these, like absolutely you can, right? So I'm on digital. We've been looking at my Adobe stock, right? And then so I, like technically, I have made money. I could completely change the title of this video and go into it a lot of different ways, right? I've made one download and I've made 74 cents. I've had 17 images that are approved. These are the approved images that you can see here. And these are my very first ones, right? And then so I have a lot better understanding now as I've gone through. And then so you can now see my uploaded files, and then we'll look at my ones that are in review currently right now. And then so we can see like these are a lot better images, right? And then so I'll tell you up front, a thing that's changed within these images flat out. There's two things that have changed, right? So number one, there's a new image generation model that has just like flooded the market, Flux, and then so I'm all on that, right? And then so instantaneously, like day one, and then these, and then the second thing is that I'm currently paying for for the full Flux model. So like the model that most people have access to, the Flux model that most people have access to, is a distilled model. And then so knowing these things, I know that the distilled model is not as good. These images that we're looking at here, these ones, I mean, they're good, right? These are very good images, but these aren't as good as the paid outputs like this up. I mean, this is it's just on a whole different level, right? Like it's these are, to me, superhuman. Like that's at the point where we're at with these images. But so that's what you're dealing with, right? Like going back to the man in the casino, in this instance, I'm the man in the casino. Like I'm just throwing my money around, right? Like I no matter what you do, how you prompt it, etc., you're dealing with the distilled model, which is 10 times worse than my model here. And then so I'm paying, like, it works out to, I don't like, they say their price, I don't trust their pricing. Like, so I put a monthly limit of $10. I haven't hit my monthly limit yet, but I've spent more than I thought I would. I spent like $2 so far generating images. So it works out to maybe like half a cent, or like I'd say a third of a cent per image, maybe around there. So like not bad at all, but you're paying something. And then so, but that goes against the whole concept of what these side hustles are supposed to be, right? Is that you're not supposed to be paying something into them. And then the other thing that I'll mention within these is that, so the thing that I've determined and I've found from like actually like diving into these videos deep is that the max amount that you're going to make on, say, like Adobe stock, about $500 per month. And then if you're making $500 per month, that's off of 10,000 images and 10,000 submissions. And as you can see right now, I currently have 153 in review, and then that's been going through for the last week. And then you have to have it, like they have to be good images, things like that. You have to think of what ones you want and go through, right? And then so there's a lot of work that go in, and a lot of these are going to get rejected. Like I have a high rejection rate, like not accepted, right? Like you can see 37 not accepted. And then a lot, like all of these that are not accepted, they're all from older generation models. Like they just insta rejected them pretty much, right? So like, you can tell like they want this Flux model. Like they that's my impression of it, that they want this model and these images. Like, and I would too. They're really good images, but that's already a barrier to entry, and it's creates a higher barrier to entry there, right? So then this leads us into then what should you be doing, right? And then that leads to the question, like it's easy to knock these things, right? So then what should you be doing? And then like overall, what you should be doing is separating yourself and then building your moat. It's very simple strategy, right? I look to it as like the Warren Buffett strategy, and then which is you build a moat and you build a castle. And then very simplistically, like you look at the businesses that Warren Buffett has built and he owns. One of the very first businesses that he bought was See's Candy, like a very simple business, right? It's they have a moat, very simple. You know what See's Candy is. you know exactly what they do, and he raises the prices. I think it's like 6% per year, and it's just every single year, like right after Christmas, like the day after Christmas, it's like boom, the price increase, right? And it's like it's been that way since like the 1950s, and then so very stable for those reasons, right? And then so that's what makes it a good business overall in that aspect. But then so again, it's that you're trading in that instance money more than anything else, but then you're building up your own moat and your own castle. So I think step one is moving off of any of these platforms. Like, do I think like out of these platforms there are ones that are better than others, right? And you can make more than others, but then at the end of the day, they've calculated how much you're making and what you're making and your time investment into it. And then so let's take Adobe stock as an example. Let's say you need 10,000 images in order to make $500 per month. If you sat here and you did that, it's going to take you 2 years to get to that point. And then in 2 years, you could do a lot more. Like you could be making $500 per month in 2 weeks, right? Like it's not like at that point, how like your dollars per hour are like you're working for slave wages at that point, and then it just doesn't work out and it doesn't make sense. And then so to me, like the other thing is looking towards differentiation and what can actually differentiate yourself, right? And then so like the big selling point of like all of these models are that like it requires no experience. Like you don't need to have any sort of specialized knowledge whatsoever, right? But then again, that's counterintuitive to what market economics and how market economics works, which is that the more experience that you have, because the more experience that you have, the more rare it is, then the more valuable something is. Like, and that's what market economics is based off of, is the rarity of something, right? And then so if everyone can do Adobe stock or KDP or courses or whatever that it is, then there's a lower stock within that, right? There's a lower value within that inherently overall. And then so what, like the higher up that you can get, the more skill, the more rarity that you can get, the better it is overall, right? So like, I mean, for me, for example, just as a comparison, I could invest in 2 years of trying to get to 10,000 images of Adobe stock, or I have a product that I have AI telemarketers that I've set up at this point where they sell for like a $500 AI evaluation for businesses, and then I just need to sell one of those per month equals the same revenue that I could get after 2 years of work of Adobe stock. I would rather and then I just need to put, let's say, $20 per month into that, right? And that's literally what it is, $20 per month and a little bit of time to set up the bots now that I've already done it. And that's really all that it is at this point, right? And then it runs itself. But it did take a little bit more work, a little bit more diving into it. So there's a moat. That's the moat within it, right? And then just climbing above it. And then so like to me, these businesses and like what these like a lot of like what you see in these influencer videos, these are traps. Like don't get trapped in getting stuck in like this $500 per month after 2 years, because the other thing is that the big thing is that we all have the same amount of time, right? No matter what, that's the equation that stays the same. And then so if you're dumping your time into this, then you're not dumping your time into something that you can actually be doing, right? Like and actually like generate revenue for yourself, generating products and systems and building systems based off of products. And then so that's what you should be doing. And then even within all of these, like, so no matter what you're doing, if it's Adobe stock, again, KDP, all of them, right? You're building systems. And then so the most successful ones, the people that are successful within it, they're successful because they have built a successful system, and they put a lot of time and a lot of effort into building that successful system that now works for them, and then it goes through and does that. But like the thing is congratulations, they could have been with that level of commitment and ability to execute on that, successful at anything that they had done. If they had done that and put that into their own venture, their own website, they would have been 10 times more successful. So yeah, they were successful at it, but that doesn't exclude the fact that they couldn't be successful at other things, right? And then like that's a part of the equation that again gets left out of this. So just looking at the whole equation holistically, this is not the way to go overall. Like, look and try to step up and get work up the moat as far as you can, and then working up the moat is increasing your rarity and building out your systems and scalable systems based off of products. And if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.